So hi, welcome to another episode of Insights, where on this particular episode I'm really excited to introduce somebody who sort of needs no welcome or introduction really. She's somebody who I've known for well over a decade.
So long.
So giving and helpful with her time, so knowledgeable about all things EdTech, very agnostic, although I know her heart does lie with Google really. Well, we might touch on that in this conversation. It gives me great pleasure to welcome onto Insights here live from the Bett show, the one, the only Alice Keeler. Welcome, Alice. How are you doing?
Mark. I'm doing so good. Very rested. Got in a few days ago from the States.
Fantastic. So, for those people who don't know you, I mean, what rock have they actually been hiding under? But could you talk a little bit about your work, maybe as a math teacher and sort of background in education?
So I got started teaching math in 1999, and I was taking my teaching classes. Now, make sure we know that I did it in this order. I got the teaching job first, and then learned how to teach. So that first year was a bit rough. It is quite the science to teach. But in my class, they wheeled in this giant LCD projector, and they said, "Does anyone want to use PowerPoint?" I'm like, I have no idea what that is, but I'm going to figure it out. So I was one of the first teachers to really embrace teaching using PowerPoint instead of the overhead projector. And I started a blog. So AliceKeeler.com, Teacher Tech, is a popular blog that I still maintain. I like to say my blog is my job. It's my passion, where I really am passionate about, not Google, but student learning and student passion for learning and how technology can improve with the learning process and not just make us paperless.
Brilliant stuff. And this is one of the things that Alice and I align on, and NetSupport. Technology is fantastic, but we don't have to be using it all the time.
For sure not.
What we should be doing is thinking and focusing on what we can do to help improve and enhance student learning. And so I wanted to dive into my first sort of topical area. It's the buzzwords. I'm sure, I've not been to any of the presentations yet, but I'm sure those two letters, AI, are going to come up an awful lot. What are your thoughts on AI, Alice?
Well, my initials are AK, so I'm almost AI. No, I'm just kidding. I use AI every day. ChatGPT, Google Bard. I love it. It's very helpful. I don't know how much time it saves me as much as when I really work at crafting a good prompt that I can get it to know me and help support me in who I am rather than just magically spitting things out. So my concern is, I was at Bett last year and everybody just overnight had AI in their product. Like, really, what does that mean? Your car takes gas. That's apparently just about it. Is there something in there? What does it exactly do? Well, I guess that's even too specific. It doesn't really mean anything to me. It should be very skeptical, I think, of anything that says AI, and certainly if it thinks it's some magic solution, it definitely is not.
No, and I would definitely agree with that. Technology can do amazing things, and it can help us to do things that wouldn't be possible without the technology. But that analogy of, well, my car runs on gas, well, so what? What else can it do beyond that? And teacher workload. Let's dive deeper into those sorts of areas. So obviously AI is a big trend, but you work around the world, you talk and work with teachers around the world. What sort of things that are impactful are you seeing, Alice?
Right. Well, everyone's really tired right now. We are burning teachers out, and I know that's a big reason we want to use AI, and we should. I'm not saying not to. I'm just saying to be skeptical on how we do it is to alleviate some of the teacher burden and find ways to spend more time with students. And I'm definitely for that, but I feel like we're having a trend of just kind of slipping back into maybe some old ways because we are tired, and I certainly have no stones to throw at anybody. I'm tired myself. I was teaching 7th grade math at the beginning of this year, and it's tough. The kids are enthusiastic, and so to try to keep up with a 3-minute passing period where you literally have no time to go to the bathroom because they want you to be watching the hall and kids coming in and out of class, and when exactly do you have time to prepare all of these things? I get it, but I think that we're looking for people who are right now, people just hanging on rather than really having the opportunity and the time to move forward.
Yeah. So how do you manage your time with all those sort of things? I mean, I know you, Alice. You are so prolific, so highly organised. You know what you're doing most of the time. What tools? How do you make it so that all these different things work for you when you are so very, very busy?
I definitely don't think I represent anybody. I like to break things. I am willing to jump in, and my poor students are my guinea pigs. Like, well, let's see what we can do with this, push it, and it's probably not going to work. And I try to work out all the kinks myself because I do have a high tolerance for pain. I mean, honestly, if you're going to try something new, just like riding a bike, you're going to fall off.
Yeah.
Oh, I tried that once and it didn't work. Well, you need to try it more like 20 times and iterate, and then I take what I've learned and try to be like, okay, here's my lessons learned. That's a lot of what I do with my blog and my newsletter, AliceKeeler.com. Sorry, shameless self-promotion in there. But here's how you can take a step forward without starting from scratch. So what do? I don't sleep, maybe.
And coffee's your friend, right?
Coffee is definitely my friend. I'm a couple cups in today. But I prioritize spending time learning things, and I don't clean the house. I pay someone to do that.
Well, that is a really useful thing to do, actually. Making good use of your time, being smart with your time. And something I've noticed over the years as well that you really do, and tinkering is clearly something that you're really, you dive into stuff to sort of unpick how it works. I've seen some great ways in which you've used things like Google Sheets, for example, over the years, and all these sorts of things. Have you got any sort of, if people are sort of, like imagine that new to the profession, they've been introduced to the new, the Alice Keeler of yore. You've been introduced to the latest set of equivalents of PowerPoint. What strategies would you suggest people could adopt to help them become familiar, happy, confident, and competent in the tools that they're presented with? Use
less tools. That's always my first recommendation. Pick one. Like, let's just start with spreadsheets. A lot of people don't use spreadsheets.
Yeah.
But truly, aren't spreadsheets magical? The answer is always a spreadsheet, I like to say. If you decide that's what you want to use, there's a lot of ways that you can use it. So it's a pedagogy first approach. So really thinking, what do I want to accomplish? How could this tool do it? Rather than the other way around.
Yeah.
What does the tool do? How can I smash it into my lesson? And so I want to have students collaborate. That's huge for me. So a traditional math class is students sitting at their own desk, doing their own work. It's cheating really to talk to anybody. And I'd like to break that mold, right? It should be vibrant conversations and discussions, and how do we learn from each other? A lot of yes and so if we're going to do a spreadsheet, it's how can I get everybody on the same spreadsheet? How can we learn from each other? And just taking that mindset to be aware that we're not born knowing how to collaborate digitally. Using collaborative digital tools might require wine. Really. It's like taking kindergartners to the library for the first time. So is using any collaborative tool. But just like we don't ban kids from going to the library, we work with them on how to behave appropriately. That's where I really would start, is really thinking about how I interact with students around collaboration and digital tools.
Brilliant stuff. You've mentioned pedagogy first approach then in your response, and again we align on that thinking 100%. We've seen in recent years far more conversations, quite rightly so, about cognitive science and the things that actually have an impact and what works when it comes to teaching and learning. So things like retrieval practice, space practice, direct instruction, so forth and so on. Which of those sorts of things would you say have influenced you the most, and how have you sort of combined or thought about technology being integrated into that sort of thinking?
Good question. I'm really into retrieval practice. So I have a book called Ditch That Homework. I'm not into homework. I think it is an inequitable practice. And honestly, it's not even that effective. More effective is giving your brain a break. So again, I am a math teacher, traditional math instruction. Let me show you how to do this. I'm I'm going to do all the thinking for you. Now repeat it back to me 30 times. And if I could quote my favorite, not just my favorite Brit, but my favorite person, Joe Bowler, is doing it 30 times effective, everyone would be mathematicians, right? But it's not effective. And so spacing out your learning and doing a little bit and then taking a break and then doing a little bit more is actually more effective. And retrieval practice is definitely part of that, right? And so what retrieval practice at a very basic level is, why don't you just sit here and stare at a blank piece of paper and remember things? What are all the things that you can remember? Let's retrieve it out, make an effort to do that on the regular, is to remember things. So technology obviously is going to be really helpful in that. And that if I'm going to need to space things out, and quizzing is one of many retrieval practice techniques.
Yeah.
Well, I just really wouldn't do that without technology. I mean, I love quizzes and anything like it. I love quizzes because it's gamified, and I could talk all day long about the power of gamification and how disgusting it is, how many products out there with a gray background and boring the snot out of children. There's really no need for that in this age. It should be engaging. So there's the first thing to look for as you're walking around, y'all. Does it have gamification? If not, maybe keep walking. But using some sort of a tool, like I use the quizzes, again with the gamification, but it will randomly choose out of a bank of questions.
Yeah.
So I can build up okay, this is what we learned. I add a few questions into the bank and then do this as a warm-up, as an exit ticket. Oh, you're done early. Or just say, hey, we're having retrieval time. It's going to bring back some different practices that I'm not having to generate things constantly, and grades it for me, so can't dismiss the importance of that. But I'm also a big supporter of, if a computer can grade it, it should. So anything that we're doing that allows for, has an answer key, the teacher is the most valuable thing in the room. You honestly could be doing better things than marking. So here is the pedagogy adjustment. Instead of getting a low score, what does getting a low score do? Nothing. I'm recording failure. That's ridiculous. You do it until you're successful. So using a digital tool for low critical thinking tasks is about student success rather than just saving me time grading.
Brilliant. I mean, there's so much fun. We could talk all day, but I'm mindful that Alice has got like 1,001 other places to be today.
And who doesn't want to just be here with Mark?
Well, it's always good to catch up. You mentioned you've got a new book out, so I'd love to give you an opportunity to sort of share about that, Alice. What's it all about?
Well, I am really passionate about student engagement. It does matter for learning, and especially in math, a lot of math applications just really lack student engagement. But my book is not about math. It's actually 50 ways to engage students with Google Apps. And I honestly don't care if you use Google, but if you are a Google school, that's the tool that you have. And I have some strategies around how you can use those tools to be engaging, because let's be honest, they're inherently not.
Brilliant stuff. Well, look, when's that coming out?
Any second now. It's supposed to come out in November, but I didn't like the layout, so I made them redo it. So my publisher said last night, almost ready. It's almost ready.
Well, fingers crossed we'll get a copy of that sometime soon through the door.
Love to get you one.
If you want to connect with Alice, you can do alicekeeler.com. Alice Keeler on like every social media platform going. Just look for Alice Keeler and you will find her. And if you're at Bett and watching this and it comes out nice and quick, please do come and join us at stand SD50, or make sure you subscribe to us on youtube.com/NetSupport, or just visit us at netsupportsoftware.com. I'm Mark Anderson, Head of Education at NetSupport. It's really great to have a chance to catch up with Alice.
Really nice
Look forward to catching you on the next chat on Insights. Thanks.